Hello and welcome from the sidelines of the ICR Orlando 2024 conference. I'm Jarrett Banks, editor-at-large of Exec Edge. Joining me today is the CEO and founder, Peter Kellis of Trey, as well as the Chief Revenue Officer, Brian Whitney. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Peter, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about Trey. What are your core offerings and what brands do you work with?
Absolutely. So Trey is a cloud-based point-of-sale system. We're targeting large enterprise restaurants. That's our core focus. We can do full-service restaurants, and we can also do international. So we're the only cloud-based modern point-of-sale system that can do those things. Of course, we serve quick service, but we have all the features necessary for both types of restaurants. We have anything needed for self-service, so kiosks, online ordering, QR ordering, payment, and so on and so forth. Everything needed for servers to order, terminals, tablets, and then everything needed in the kitchen display systems. And it's all backed by real-time analytics and data up in the cloud in real time. We have a great offline ordering as well, so when the restaurant is disconnected from the internet, all the devices work seamlessly.
Fantastic. Now, what was the motivation when you founded Trey?
Founded Trey about 10 years ago. I'm from Greece originally.
Okay.
I lived in France for high school. My accent is Greek and French. And I came to the US for college, went to MIT undergrad and grad. And throughout all these experiences and all these years of going out as a consumer, I always felt that service could be improved. And I was at a bar in Santa Monica, and it took 40 minutes to get a drink because of how deep the line was. Decided I need to solve that problem, so I created a company called Trey that helps you order and pay quickly. And then that evolved into a self-service kiosk and eventually a full point-of-sale system. We've been working with Dine brands now for about 5 years. We signed all of the IHOP locations. We're almost done with that deployment. And we're excited to move forward to more brands and opportunities.
I think we've all experienced what you did at that bar in Santa Monica. Let's bring Brian into the conversation. Brian, there's a lot of competition out there in the restaurant tech space. What's the main reason that customers choose you?
You know what? I think it's a pretty interesting story that most of us would have complained to the manager or tried to find a different restaurant. Peter goes out and builds a platform for it. That's what the MIT education does. Is I'm going to go solve this problem the right way, and that's what we like to do. Is we like to solve the problems. And one of the big problems out in the restaurant industry, we've heard it from customers just as recently as this week at this conference, is they feel like they're stuck behind their technology. They don't love their technology, but they're stuck behind it. They've made investments, sometimes tens of millions of dollars in hardware and integrations, and they feel like that they can't move. Trey unlocks that because we've kind of broken the paradigm of software and hardware must be linked at the hip to where we have a truly independent point of sale. When we've gone into those IHOP locations and we've deployed, we've gone in with a keyboard and a thumb drive, and we've installed a modern Android-based cloud-native POS on top of infrastructure that was Windows-driven, that might be 8, 9, 10 years old, but we give it another life. You know, I love to say that the space shuttle went to orbit with the computing power of a Commodore 64. You do not need a Pentium 7 class chip with 64 gigs of RAM to sell burgers or pizza. You just need a good terminal, and that's what Android gives us. But we've given us the capability that we can run that Android on any piece of x86 Windows-based hardware.
So our clients can convert their store while the store is operating. They don't have to shut down, they don't have to ship new hardware, they don't have to rewire anything. And then as hardware breaks over time, they have the option to upgrade at that point. We have inexpensive Android devices, tablets, modern, and so on and so forth, but we don't require them to do that on day one.
Right. And that gives those stores, instead of spending $30,000 or $40,000 on a new POS hardware platform, they're able to take a fraction of that and invest it in actually accretive means like where IHOP, where we're reducing table time and we're increasing server compensation by putting a payment and tablet solution in there. So we're able to do that for less money than they would spend on a POS and replacing a like for like. And that's the unique capability of what Trey is doing. On top of that, Peter mentioned, we're the only ones that can do full service. When you do full service, and you can do that order at the table, and I order my apps, and then I order my entree, and then I order, you're doing the same thing you're doing at quick service with a drive-thru. So we went into our first quick service brand with Arctic Circle earlier this year, or last year now, and we were able to roll them quickly with zero development. So by doing full service restaurant, we did the larger circle in the Venn diagram, and we're able to go into quick service almost without any additional work.
Right. You touched on this a little bit, but what are the challenges that operators are facing, and how does Trey help them solve them?
I think one of the biggest challenges that operators see in technology is that it's very, very hard to work with. It's very expensive. It's very cumbersome. Their POS providers for years have said, no, you can't work with company X or company Y, or you've got to find ways around it. Trey opens that. So by getting rid of that hardware, software lockstep, we give them the freedom to go find the right vision for them. How do they want to service their guests? Is it a bigger screen, small screen, white screen, black? How do you want to work? What's your budget? What's your parameters? And then on top of that, we have an open system. It's open in terms of APIs. So what partners do you want to work with? That one thing that we did for Arctic Circle, we integrated a new gift card program for them. It took us about 3 sprints worth of work, about 6 weeks worth of work for us to do that, which was incredibly fast because we don't have the technical debt of some of the legacy platforms. We don't have a cumbersome infrastructure. We actually work with our customers to be able to do velocity engineering where they can actually direct us on how they want us to deliver, something that no one else in this marketplace is doing. So those things of divorcing this hardware and software, being able to be agile and be able to deliver and have an open system, both for data and transactional handling, make us unique in the space and kind of solve those challenges of the cumbersome technology that's just been out there for years.
Makes sense. Peter, what's up next for 2024?
Growth. So we just finishing the IHOP deployment. It took us a year to get all 1,500 plus locations deployed, which is really fast. We can do 40 to 60 per week just because it's so easy to replace the existing POS with the new one. And now we're all about doing the same thing for other brands. Many brands just, Brian said, are feeling stuck to their old technology. We want to get them unstuck.
Okay, now I understand that you have a degree in AI from MIT, and you also spoke about AI. Does Trey use AI? How does he use AI?
So I think AI can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. I think there's a trend in the past year because of ChatGPT and large language models. It doesn't necessarily mean that right now is the right time for AI to change how restaurants operate. I think restaurants have lower hanging fruit they need to address first. If they don't have tablets, if they don't have kitchen display systems, if they don't have cloud-based modern system that gives them real-time data, there's not much you can do with AI. Now, that said, there's a lot of opportunity in the future. There's ways to improve inventory. There's ways to improve pricing on the menu or the way the menu is presented, or learn and converse with the user. But in my opinion, that's not the immediate low-hanging fruit where people should focus. People should be thinking about it. We are thinking about it, and we're investing in technologies that will help once you have the base system working. But I think 2025, 26 might be the right year for AI to make a product impact in the restaurant space.
Okay. Brian, can you give me a sense of the size of Trey today? How many locations are you guys in?
We're approaching 2,000 locations that are live, and we're processing hundreds of thousands of transactions years across those platforms. So we're able to have we built a platform with Peter's experience coming with his background at Google and Dell around being able to handle hundreds of millions of transactions. So we've built a large platform that's able to grow. I think coming in the next quarter and into the next year, we're going to have some pretty strong announcements of new brands that are coming on board. As companies start to discover Trey, it's one of the things of, as we've talked to people, they go, who's Trey? And that's the first question we always get asked is, who's Trey? They don't know us. They don't know who we are. As they discover this new disruptive paradigm of breaking the old model, as it were. We're getting a lot of interest, and we see a lot of path forward. So very excited about 24 and beyond.
Yeah, and one thing to note is we built everything from the ground up,
right?
And everything was built for the purpose of serving multi-unit locations. We did not build something that was single restaurant and then try to adapt it and make it cloud-based. So our DNA is about multi-unit restaurants, and we want to expand on that.
Yep.
Peter, how do you plan to influence the industry in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, we want to be the platform of the future, right? We want to be just like what Micros did in the past 20 years and what Aloha did. We want to do that in the future.
All right, we'll leave it there. Many thanks to my guests, Peter Kellis, the CEO and founder of Trey, Brian Whitney, the Chief Revenue Officer. I'm Jared Banks, signing off from the ICR 2024 conference here in Orlando, Florida.